A stainless steel barbecue that runs on gas, charcoal and wood sounds like the perfect camping grill. But after years of using this Skotti grill, there are a few things you really need to know before buying. And in this video I will tell you all my pros and cons and why I am still using it. Enjoy the video. Hey everyone and welcome back to the video. And if this is the first time that you tune into my channel, my name is Gijs and I am a gear nutter from the Netherlands. And today I'm shooting this video at a very comfortable table on one of my favorite camping grounds here in the Netherlands. And there's a reason for this, why I'm shooting this, but on this campsite, but I will tell you that reason later. Now, today we are taking a close look on the Skotti Grill. This is a portable flat pack barbecue made from stainless steel. It is designed to run on gas, a cartridge like you see over here, but according to the idea behind it, you can also use it with charcoal and wood. And that makes it quite interesting because on paper the Skotti is not just a camping barbecue. It is a very compact, transportable cooking system that should work in different situations. Gas, when open fire for example, is not allowed, and that's the case here in the Netherlands. It's been 2 weeks of bloody hot weather. Everything is absolutely dry, so you don't want any wildfires. Now, charcoal when you want that more traditional barbecue flavor, and wood when you want to use it more like a small hobo stove. At least that's the idea. And I've had this little first generation Skotti grill now for over 4 years. So this is not just a quick first impression. This is a really proper long-term review based on actually using it a lot of time, assembling it, cleaning it, cooking on it, and also being annoyed by it from time to time. So in this review I'll walk you through the pouch, the packed size, the real weight, assembly, sharp edges, the gas system, cooking performance, charcoal and wood use, cleaning, and finally my verdict. So let's dive into it. Now let's start with the basic numbers. The Skotti grill, it's made from 304 grade stainless steel and the gas output is 2.1 kilowatts. Skotti claims a weight of 3.3 kilograms and they claim a pack size of 45 by 30 by 3.5 centimeters. Now, as always, I measured it myself and my results are a little bit different from the Skotti ones. My Skotti grill in the pouch weighs 4.5 kilos. And the pack size I measured is 46 by 29 by 5.5 centimeters. So the pack size is pretty close to what Skotti claims, but the weight, it's a big difference. It's not that small, 1.2 kilograms heavier than they claim. And that's quite a lot, to be honest. Now, does this really matter? For me, well, to be totally honest, no, because this grill, because of its weight and its size, it's not a hiking or backpacking grill. A picnic grill if you like, something for the van, something you carry from the car to your nice cooking spot. And in that context, 4.5 kilograms is not a deal breaker. Now, one of the first things I really like about the Skotti grill is the pouch itself. And yes, I am Dutch, so of course I like the orange color. And that's also the reason why my Outdoor Guru logo is orange. And in case you're wondering, the shape, it's a potato because, well, we are potato eaters. Now, the pouch, it is made from heavy duty Brazil-like material, the kind of stuff that you see on trucks, for example, on what they tow, that thing around it. It is very, very tough and it also feels a little bit harsh when it's colder. It has got 2 nice carrying handles and the opening works a bit like a book. And I'll demonstrate this. You just fold it open, you can hear that a lot of Velcro in there. And basically this is it, it's like opening a book. And everything is held together with this very strong Velcro that is still 100% intact after more than 4 years of use. Now the other thing is that this pouch itself, I've used it quite a lot of time to put it onto the ground and put the grill on there, just to prevent the heat getting into the grass. And I've noticed that this part is not damaged at all. Now, the Skotti grill itself is made from very thick stainless steel. The steel is about 3 millimeters thick overall, and that gives the grill a very solid and robust feel. And now, as you see what's all here, we need to talk about the assembly, because that's one of the most important things of the Skotti grill. In practice, it is very, very simple. And if you don't actually know how it works, Skotti grill made a very big, very thick manual about it, and that explains everything. Now, lay that manual aside, forget about it, because I will show you how this actually works. This is basically, this triangular part is the piece that basically is regulating the flames, or making it more, spreading the heat in a more, how do you say this correctly, in a more equal manner. Maybe that's the correct word. Now, this one is of course what I need for cleaning. This is not in the package when you buy it, and there is still some grass from last time. Let's get rid of it. Now, you've got these two sides, and let me put them aside like so. Then you've got two the front and the rear, basically, if you're looking from this direction. Then you've got basically the drip plate, and more on this later, because this is a important part in this whole story. And then you've got the grill itself, and I've got one extra, which is basically a grill with a, well, sort of teppanyaki plate part. More on this as well later. Now, put that one over here. Now, what you do is when you start putting the grill together, you need to find basically an angle where there is a triangle on this small notch. And what you do, you find that same one on the other panel, and it is this one, because this one also has got that same triangular notch. So it's pretty easy. In this case, you can see it. What is the inside, what is the outside? This is the outside. So what happens is basically that you need to get those two triangles lined up together. And these slide nicely into place. Then you take the other one, of course, and you will see that the burnt stain on the inside makes it very easy for me to recognize that this is the inner inside. And basically this is what you get, like a U-shaped form that stands all by itself. Now, what you need to do now is to insert the bottom plate, the drip pan, if you like this word. You will see that there are two notches over here, and these two notches, they slide into two notches over here. And I like to do it in this way. First put them in there, and now I need to fill it a little bit. I've done this 1,000 times and it never goes straight in right away. And then you have to line up the notches on the sides as well, and get them into the slits, get it in there, and then everything slides basically in shape, as you can see. Now, I already said something about the hobo grill when you're using this for wood. This is how I use it. I put the grilly thing on top of here, and then you can put wood in from this direction. Now, the last thing that you need to do now is basically and now I'll need to get this one out of the way, because I forgot to take something out, of course. And that is basically the nozzle that injects the gas into this tube. There's a lot of holes in this tube. This is where the gas runs from. Then you need to put this one, like so, in a slit over here. Where is it? There it is. The next thing you do is take this part, put it also in a couple of notches, slits and notches. And then you take the last one, this piece, and you slide it in from over here. And again, it is a little bit of a fiddly process, because you'll need to line up all the notches in one time. And then, well, this went quite perfect, to be honest. And this is basically how it should look like when it's assembled. Now, the last thing that I need to do now is basically put the grill plates on here. Put it in there, come on, and then slide it a little bit forward so that it blocks itself. Now the last thing that I need to do now is of course connect the gas hose, which is quite an easy process. And last but not least, I take the gas canister from Skotti in this case, and I connect it to the grill, and when I open it, gas is flowing. Yuck. So this is basically how to assemble the Skotti grill. A pretty easy process. Now you see me doing this with my bare hands. I think the first 3 months that I had it, I always used my trusted Hestra gloves because, well, sometimes the edges can be a little bit sharpish. You will not really cut yourself, but it felt more comfortable doing it like this when I did not really know how to assemble it fast. Now, as you can see, assembling is not that difficult. If you've done it a couple of times, and then I say about 15 times, you can do it in under 5 minutes. It's not that simple if you compare it to some other grills that I reviewed in the past. For example, the Camper Grill or the Yuko flat pack grill that's on my YouTube channel as well. Those are a little bit more simple to assemble. Now, one thing that I need to share as well is that this one has been used intense, and with gas I've never noticed in the beginning that the panels were getting a little bit deformed, but especially after making a sort of a quite hot campfire, the panels, although they are very thick, they got deformed a little bit, and that also makes assembly not easier because of those deformations a little bit of the slits and the notches. They don't always fit in the same spot anymore like when it was new, so you have to apply a little bit of force. But hey, I've done it and it still works, so in that case assembly is pretty clever and the engineering is pretty smart. Now, as you can see, I've got some stuff here: salt, pepper. This is not what it is. It's not mushrooms. It's herbe de Provence, which I absolutely like when I'm barbecuing. And especially with a gas grill, you need a little bit more flavor because you don't have the flavor from the charcoal or from the wood. But now let me cook myself some dinner and I'll show you how it works. Now I've got everything arranged. I've got some cauliflower that I made yesterday. It's a batter with egg yolk, of course. A Turkish pizza, some pork meat, eggplant, paprika, and that will do fine for me when I'm having a sort of a late lunch here when I'm having this shoot. One thing that I did not tell you was that the gas from Skotti, the gas canister, weighs 700 grams and it contains 500 grams of gas. The gas, it is a mixture of 70% butane and 30% of propane, and it is a EN 417 certified screw-on cartridge, and it uses a Lindal B188 valve with a 7/16 inch thread, if I say this correct in English, because 7/16 is difficult. Now the valve itself, of course, is self-sealing when you unscrew the canister. Now the practical advantage here is that this 7/16 of an inch thread is used by many other cartridge brands as well. Brands like Primus, Optimus, Coleman, Jetboil, MSR, Camping Gas, and of course also Weber. And that is very convenient because if you cannot find the Skotti cartridge locally, which is quite logical, there is a good chance that you can still find one of the compatible gas cartridges from another brand. And for traveling and camping, that really matters a lot. And now I am starting to get a little bit hungry, so now let me start cooking. One thing that you need is a lighter because there's no piezo involved in this one, but what is nice is that when I light the lighter and I open the gas valve, there is a little hole that I can use, and now it is lit. Now, when it's here, the gas regulation is hidden a little bit behind the stove, I see. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's really fine to regulate. And let me put my pizza on there first. In general, I am not the biggest fan of barbecuing on gas, because for me the whole point of barbecuing is the character of cooking over wood, charcoal and open fire. I like that chemistry. It does something to my brain. A wood or charcoal fire also gets incredibly hot, and that direct heat seals the meat quickly, so it keeps the moisture inside. And when a little fat drips down and burns together with a little smoke, you get that flavor that I really like. And it's not only the meat, of course. I absolutely love lightly charred vegetables, and that's why the paprika comes in very, very handy. When you take the skin off and you let it basically get colder again, you take the skin off, and then you've got this with oil and a little bit of pepper and a little bit of salt, and it's yummy, yummy, yummy wonderful. But gas also had clear advantages, and over the years I've started to appreciate those advantages a little more, because a gas barbecue produces less CO2 than a wood or charcoal fire. And it does not produce particle matter in that same way. So in that respect, it is a more environmentally friendly barbecue basically. Now, and in Europe, and like in many other countries, open wildfires are getting a big problem. And like now on this campsite, just like I mentioned before, making a barbecue with fire, it is absolutely forbidden because of the wildfire risk. And that is a very good reason to use gas. And that's why I thought, let me do this review after 5 years. So now let's go back to cooking. Let me have a, yeah, that will work absolutely fine. Now what Skotti already does is that they have a lid as well, so you can make a sort of a oven out of it, which would be handy in this case. I don't have it, so I'll just do it on this way. And now let me cut some meat. I don't know if you've seen the review, it's my Morakniv Kansbol. It's a knife that's been with me already for many, many years, and that I really like. But I recently got with a sort of EDC knife, which is a popular term on YouTube at the moment, from Keström. I met the guy once, he passed away a while ago. And this is a very nice knife as well. Already some nice smells coming from the pizza, the Turkish pizza. Now I like the flame control of the Skotti Grill because it's absolutely very subtle. The top of the Skotti Grill, the griddle, as you can see, it's more stainless steel than there is holes in between, and that makes that whatever you put on it, it does not work the same way as, let's say, a griddle that's made out of these thin wires. It's got more contact area, and it's roughly about A4 size paper, which is about 21 centimeters by 28 or something. In real use, I've noticed we are a family of 4. This grill is fine for us, but if you are having 6 people, well, then it starts to get a little tight. You can do it, but 6 really is a crowd. Now I already mentioned, and now I remember again, the Skotti Plancha, this one. They don't have it on their website anymore. They changed it now for a, I think it's a plancha that's made of a, how do you call this? Cast iron fully closed thingy. But I really like this one because here you've got the possibility to put some things on the side, like a teppanyaki plate, like I mentioned already. It's something that we use quite a lot. Barbecue on this one where you want to have some charge and difference between the grit and the holes, and that one for more the vegetable stuff. But now let me continue with my little pizza, and let me put some pepper on my little piece of pork loin. I don't know actually what the English word is. Like so. And a little bit of olive oil. I always like to do this on the meat itself, not on the griddle. And this is of course a very lean piece of meat, hardly any fat, which is good in this case because of the simple reason that I have less to clean. And now I'm going just to flip it around to cook also the other side, because that's possible of course. And there's a little bit of paprika. Now, when you want to do this, it takes about 3 to 5 minutes to get it really nice and hot if you want to do a steak, for example. And I've noticed that in regular weather like it is today, cooking outside a steak is absolutely fine. It sears nice and fast, basically, so all that moisture is still in the meat itself. And now I think this one is absolutely nicely done, so I can have something to eat. Let me put my paprika on there and also some veggies and also my little bit of pork. Now what I should say is that when you're cooking in these kind of temperatures, now it's about 22 degrees, the grill works absolutely fine. But as you know, we are often camping in Sweden and we always bring it. When temperatures drop about to about below the 10 degrees Celsius, then it is more like cooking meat than really searing the meat, because it takes quite some while to cook it in a proper barbecue way. Then I think the Skotti grill is just not hot enough. And that's of course a little bit of a pity. Now, let me get a little slice of the pizza. Absolutely yummy. Nice and crisp and hot. Now, and as you can see, it is already nice and textured, and now I see that with the pizza my plate is basically a little bit on the too small side. A small tip, if you want to know if the griddle is hot enough, just spray some water on it, and when it starts fizzing immediately, then the grill is absolutely hot, and then the meat will sear nicely. And I hope you don't mind, but I really would like to have a small alcohol-free beer, and I'll pick that up of course later. Cheers. Because I am barbecuing and I am camping. I've got the tent pitched up a little bit that way. Come on, skin, burn. Now, let me put on a little bit of cauliflower as well in the corner, because this is of course a thing that only needs to warm, and that's why the heat is less intense. And let me see how my pork is getting along. Oh yes, that's just nice. Now, I already said a few words about cooking on charcoal and wood, and how does it differ from gas? Well, to be honest, I've done it a lot of times with wood and charcoal as well. What you should not forget is that you don't need the gas pipe, and also not the gas hose, and not that divider in there. Just put the charcoal in there, just like the wood. And on charcoal it performs absolutely super. I actually prefer charcoal over gas, like I already mentioned, and charcoal over wood as well, because of the distance from the griddle basically to the bottom. If you put some charcoal on there, there is still some distance between what you want to cook. If you're putting wood in here, like in the style that I described as the hobo stove style, then you have a lot of flames coming basically through the griddle and sometimes really burning the wood. So it's not that easy to cook with wood on a small stove like this, because you cannot raise or lower the cooking platform. But if you are done with basically this and you want to have a small campfire that is retained within the stove or the grill itself, then of course wood is absolutely nice for that evening to have a whiskey together with a campfire in a sort of secured environment. If you use it at a hobo stove and you take out that side, then you should be aware of the fact that it is not as stable as the grill as it is now. And one thing that you might be wondering with gas, and I'm cooking on the plastic stuff, I don't know if you can see this, but I can put my hand underneath here and that goes absolutely fine. It's warm, nice and cozy, but I'm not burning myself. So in that respect, also when you put it on the floor on grass, no damage will be done to the grass itself. So in that respect, a gas stove is quite sensible. Now, and I think that if I squeeze it a little bit, that my pork is nicely done. And I think, what has it taken? About 7 minutes or so. And also my eggplant is nice. And I get some charring on the, yes, there is some charring going on there as well. Absolutely wonderful. Now, before I can start eating, there are two things I need to tell you about. That's cleaning and of course my verdict. So I'll turn down the gas a little bit. First, let's start about cleaning. And this is not my favorite part of the Skotti grill, because if you're cooking lean meat on it, it's not really a problem because of the fat that just drips down a little bit, but not too much. But if you've got, for example, pork sausages and you've got all that grease coming out of it, then especially cleaning the griddle, it is a horrific, it is a terrible task to do. I use steel wool for this, that works absolutely fine. You can turn on the gas to burn off all the grease, but that would basically be a waste of gas, so I'm not doing that. And when you've got charcoal in there or wood, then it will burn more clean than it does with the gas stove. So cleaning is basically my biggest thing I don't like about the Skotti grill. But what is good, everything can be put into a dishwasher, so it is dishwasher safe. So in that respect, if you don't want to do it, take it home and do it in the dishwasher. And that's quick and fast. Now, what I must say here is that in the cleaning parts, when the drippings go into that V-shaped tray that I have, that is pretty easy to clean. What is nice is that Skotti, in the newer ones, they have got a different bottom. It's called the Pool, and it's basically a sort of a basket, and you can put some water in there, so everything that is fatty drips into the water and it will not burn into the drip tray itself. And then cleaning is of course a little bit more easy, but again, if it drips in there, you still don't get more flavor, I think. So in that respect, I don't know, but that's available when you buy a new one. And if you've got this one, it seems to be available for the older Skotti grills as well, but I'm happy with what as it is, so I did not buy it in that respect. Now, and also if you don't like cleaning it like now, for example, then when everything's cooled down, you can put everything in the pouch, take it at home and clean it of course at home. In that respect, the pouch is absolutely super. Now, that was about cleaning. That was about everything that I needed to tell you about the Skotti grill and my 5 years of experience by now, because it was not 4, it was actually 5, because somewhere on the pouch there is the production date, and that was 21. And it's 26 now, so it's been 5 years that I have it already. So what's my final verdict after more than 5 years with the first generation Skotti grill? Well, the Skotti grill is a very well made and very solid stainless steel barbecue. It is durable, it packs flat, the pouch is excellent, and for camping, picnics, van life or carrying it from the car to a cooking spot, the format works absolutely well. The weight is higher than claimed. My grill weighs 4.5 kilograms instead of the 3.3 kilograms that Skotti promises. But for this type of a product, the weight makes sense. It's not hiking gear. Assembly, definitely one of the weaker points. It is clever, but it's also sometimes a little bit fiddly. And even after a lot of use, I still don't find it completely intuitive. Just search for those 2 triangles and you will be fine. But if you forget about it, especially at night, it can be difficult. Now, as a gas barbecue, it works absolutely fine, especially when temperatures are above 10 degrees Celsius and there is not too much wind. The gas regulation is good, the cooking surface is large enough for 4 persons. With sticks, well, it gets a little bit crowded. On charcoal I actually like it better, and with wood it works as a hobo style stove if you leave one of the short sides out, but it becomes a little bit less stable. Cleaning is probably my least favorite part of the Skotti grill. The stainless steel looks used after cooking, and no matter how hard you brush with it, it will remain with this really nice old patina. And overall that's something that I really do like. Cleaning those slits, it's absolutely horrific. Now at 169 euros, the Skotti grill is cheaper now than the 199 euros it cost 4 or 5 years ago. And from time to time you can find it even a little bit cheaper online. All in all, I think the Skotti grill is a clever, very solid and versatile portable barbecue. Not perfect, not the easiest to assemble, not the easiest to clean, but very capable, especially if you want one grill that can work on gas, charcoal and wood. And for me, it earns a solid 7.8 out of 10 total. If you found this review useful, then please hit that like button and subscribe and leave a comment, because I love comments and I mostly answer to all of them. And if you want to see more gear put to the test, I've got a couple of videos that you might like. If you are into grilling, check out my Yuko fire pit review and the review on one of my favorite outdoor knives, the Morakniv Eldris, which is the smaller brother of the Morakniv Kansbol. Now both videos are packed with hands-on insights just like this one. See you in the next one. Enjoy the outdoors and stay safe. Ciao, ciao!